This episode contains strong language and discussion about body image and dieting, which some viewers may find distressing. The information shared in this episode is based on personal research and experience. If you've been affected by the themes in this video, remember you're not alone and support is available. Please check the links in the description for help.
I've never really felt desirable as a bigger Black person. And even if I have, I felt like it was always in like a weird fetishizing way. Like there's been a few times over the years where I felt like I wasn't good enough to be with certain people because of like the way that I looked.
Hello, Angel.
Hi, everybody.
Come in, come in. Come, be comfy.
Yes. Situate myself.
Oh, so graceful.
I'm a little bit.
Look at this.
I tried.
It's so squidgy, isn't it?
It's nice and comfortable, though.
Yeah, babe, settle in. Like...
Yeah, thank you.
Can I call you Uzo?
Please.
Okay.
Oh my God, it'll be an honor.
Uzo, thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
I'm so excited. And I want to start by just asking you, how do you feel in your body today?
It's a very good question. I feel good in my body right now. I think that we're going to talk about it, but it's definitely an ongoing conversation and just something that I've dealt with my entire life. And I'm sure that there's a lot of like people out there, you know, who understand like, you're cool now, but it's not like, okay, you've reached a point, you're happy with your body and it's just done. Mm-hmm. It's ongoing and it's managing that happiness. So yeah.
Oh, it's for sure ongoing because, you know, the world we live in, we're getting messages every single day that we're wrong, and especially in the like industries that you work in.
For sure.
So you've got a lot to deal with, but I kind of want to dig like back.
Okay.
And take me to little Uzo. Mm-hmm. How did he feel? What was his experience in his body?
Well, you know what? I think when I was a kid, I'd always been a bigger kid. I'd always been a very tall kid and always been a very like just large kid. And I'm of Nigerian descent. Where are your parents from?
Jamaica, bit Ghanaian.
So you know, like everything that goes into our foods is like a lot of oils, a lot of like just rich and starchy. You know what I mean? And that's what I was raised on. And so I'd eat that and I gained weight, you know what I mean, in a way that other kids didn't. Mm-hmm. And I definitely felt like I stood out in a lot of ways. And, you know, a lot of these things do start from home. And I think like my parents, I suppose that they'd see me gaining weight and they didn't know how else to respond other than, damn, like you've gotten really fat. Oh. You know what I mean? And sometimes things like that stay with you, you know, and you're like, okay, all right, cool. I program being fat with just wrong. Yeah. You know? That was a lot for me to work through and there was a lot of like things that just happened that led to a life of being obsessed with my weight. The thing about the fatness in particular was that I was always a bigger kid. I was always in situations or around people that had like fast metabolisms and they could eat the same food I was eating and it just wouldn't affect them the same way. Mm-hmm. And when I first got into secondary school, for instance, you know, me being a younger kid, like 10 or 11 and coming into secondary school and people noticing my body, me being a bigger person and also a taller person at the time, I was always a tall kid. And there was one kid that yelled out from like one of the classrooms and it was induction day and they were like, back off. And like, I don't know, back off like, around that time, that was the term for like having a big bum. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when you're in school and trying to just survive and not be seen as anything other than just like a kid going to school, the last thing you need is like to know that the thing you're going to be made fun of while you're there is for having a big bum. Because you're not, I wasn't even thinking of anything other than just like existing and like trying to just survive. But you know, having a big bum as a 30-year-old gay man is not a problem now. So like, I think... You're doing all right. Yeah, we're doing okay now. I feel like it worked out...
it worked in your favor.
You know what I mean? Like, it worked out in the end.
But back then, like, you remember stuff like that. Like, I have such a vivid memory of having like a sports day and this boy that I had a crush on came over and said, he said I was good at rounders for a big girl. And we would have been like 8 years old. Oh, and that has stuck with me to this day.
Of course.
You don't shake those things.
You don't shake them things because they become like little, you know, the same way that you hear a song
Yes.
Same with you hear a song and you're like, I love this song. I'm never going to forget this song. Like, it's kind of that. It's like a mantra that kind of goes with you, and it's either you are empowered by it or it bogs you down.
For real. So you're at school and you've experienced this bullying. I guess when you went home, how did that impact then how you saw yourself?
I don't know. I think it was a lot of the time it was from all corners. You know, I say about the teasing from school, but I do think that it was not as impactful on my life as maybe even my parents, like, and the words that they said, and maybe the actions that they took as kind of like panic kind of decisions to get me to lose weight, or the fear of me becoming a fat kid. Because my mom was bigger. There was definitely some attitudes or just like some certain things that you just say like that stay with you. For instance, I mean, this isn't even to disparage anyone or to make anyone feel bad, but, you know, when I was a kid, because I was getting bigger and because it was, you know, becoming like a thing that was quite noticeable, my parents before school at one point would tell me, yeah, like you're going to go on the treadmill for like half an hour before school every day at 6 a.m.
Whoa.
And, you know, I think it's only crazy when I say it out loud.
Yeah, you didn't know any better at the time,
Because
right?
in the moment I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm fat. So like I should exercise. And I think it definitely played a part in me associating exercise with like punishment or like some type of like, okay, this is just a trade-off for being there, so you have to exercise. You know what I mean? Whereas now I've got a relationship with where I enjoy the gym and it's like something good for mental health and it's not a chore, you know what I mean? So I had to shake out of that. But those are definitely what things like that can do to you and leave you feeling.
For sure. And our parents, like, they don't realize often like the damage that they're doing to our self-esteem.
No. And I also think that they don't have the tools themselves when they've received it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's like they were just told, okay, go out and exercise and eat less. Shit, figure it out. You know what I mean? Whereas we're blessed with so many different tools and, you know, ways of being able to receive this type of information that it does not have to be that filter anymore. I don't disparage my parents for like, I mean, of course, like it's left me with a few wounds, but, you know, I think all parents would do better if there was just a blanket disclaimer of like, we don't know what we're doing. And we are just figuring it out. Because, well, you know, when you have like sometimes like immigrant parents, they just feel really inclined to tell you, we know everything. Like we know everything. And so when they don't know everything, you're disappointed.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm at peace with my parents not knowing everything or not knowing all of the one-on-ones on how to deal with me as a fat kid. You know, you telling me to lose weight, but then give me a plate of pound of yam and a goosey soup is contradicting itself. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like, who was going to tell sis? So like, and it's fine. I love my parents.
Yeah. And when you were that age growing up, did you have any, I guess, role models who were a bit thicker? Like, was there anyone you could look to for some inspiration, some representation?
I think at that time, I don't know if I was even channeling that. Because I think my thing was, oh, you know, if I want to be a pop star, I don't know if it's about being bigger or anything like that. I didn't see it, so therefore I didn't equate it to it.
100%.
And I think that whenever I did see a bigger person on TV around that time, you know, I'm 30 now, and so, you know, around my formative years of watching like multimedia and me being absorbed by it, watching MTV and all of that was around 10 years old, around 2003, 2004 time. And that was a different time in all types of multimedia. Like we were all being told that being fat is wrong and being fat is a joke, you know, and you are the joke, you're the butt of the joke if you are the bigger person, and they'd highlight it, and you know, that stays with you. Of course, like you say, it's just TV or just whatever, but it mirrors real life a lot of the time.
It really does. And like you said, like it's the fat suit on the thin actor that's meant to be a joke, or it's the villain who's plus size. Is like equates fatness with comedy.
It's either like comic relief or like, you know, you'd see even people like even Raven Simone, who I loved watching on TV growing up, and you know, her comedic timing and just like her physical comedy is just like genius. But you know, there was definitely a leaning into bringing some comedic relief into her being a bigger size like person, you know what I mean? And I feel like it was only whenever she would lose weight or something like that you'd see her as like a full-rounded person that has more emotions than just like humor or choosing to go to humor. You know, even I, in my own life, I know that I deflect to humor as a way to just like not everything just be like Les Mis and like miserable. You know, I don't know if it has to be that, but coping mechanisms.
Yeah, man. I feel like when you grow up, I guess anything outside of the norm or like what's expected of you, you have these coping mechanisms. And that's not just with body size, like that's with queerness as well, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, I was dealing with both.
Was there like a point where things started to shift for you in terms of your body image?
Basically, when I'd finished secondary school, I'd gotten into the industry full time because I'd signed a publishing deal at 14 and I got a studio, and it was basically like my uni where other people would do sixth form there. I was doing it in the studio and like next to in Shoreditch and in and around all these fast food joints and like eating, like enjoying in a way that I even had it before when I was big, but it was different now because like I had the whole 24 hours to just do what I wanted and with my own money.
Right.
And it showed. And so like I gained a lot of weight, and I'd seen this picture that someone had taken of me with a couple friends at a party. And I saw it and I was like, it was the first time I'd actually seen myself like and been like, yeah, no, like something needs to change. Because I'd always been big, but it was that first time I'd seen it and been like, I don't even look happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't even look happy.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was kind of just also trying to make music for myself and trying to see myself as a pop star. And I got into a situation where I was like eating just chicken and vegetables for like 3 months, and I lost so much weight, you know what I mean? And it was so quick, and it definitely gave me all the validation and you know, reversed a lot of like things that my parents would say and be like, oh, you know, is that you looking so good? And you know, you're looking like you've lost a lot of weight. That's good. Like you're doing it. And that gives you like that buzz and that validation. And admittedly, like it was all in and around that time that I was, you know, turning 18 and feeling more open to talking to guys and like feeling like I could actually talk to guys and be desirable to a guy. You know what I mean? Because the way I looked before, the way I felt before, I just couldn't even compute myself like having intimacy. So a lot changed in that time, but ultimately it did start this thing of dysmorphia where I could gain 1 pound or I could even lose 1 pound. And I'd look in the mirror, like a funhouse mirror kind of vibe, you know?
Yeah. I really resonate with what you were saying of, it's a crash diet, basically. Like you went on a crash diet and it worked, quote unquote, for a while. But then inevitably, like it's not sustainable.
No.
You know, you can't keep it up. And then you do start to get obsessive because you're like, I've got all this validation coming in. I've got to show my quote unquote willpower, right? And keep this up and keep it going. But like, it's not actually like healthy, like mentally.
No.
To be under that much pressure, I guess.
It's not healthy to be under that much pressure. And I don't think it's healthy to be so all or nothing about it. Like, I think that one of my cruxes is that I am very all or nothing. The way that I could lose weight and do it really quickly, but then I didn't necessarily have the fitness side of things worked out or anything else figured out. It was just like, let's just get small, you know what I mean? As opposed to even, let's get strong, let's get, toned, or let's get a good relationship with working out or more active. It wasn't any of that. It was just like, let's just not be fat.
Yeah. And also I found whenever I crash dieted and lost a bunch of weight, I expected to look in the mirror and be like, cool, we're good now. Like, we're done. I feel great. This is wonderful. And it never came because there was always like one more thing that you could change. You know, was that the same for you?
It's ongoing. It's been like a roller coaster, like throughout my life and career, dealing with just like wanting to be successful and wanting to make music that does well, but then also like wanting to be perceived as, you know, aspirational or desirable or, you know, anything that actually is, you know, people want from a pop star or want from like a performer or entertainer. And I had a lot stacked against me, like being like tall and black and queer and fat and, yeah, as I speak to you right now, I can confidently say, like, I'm more than happy to still be a bigger guy. I don't think it's about being real thin, because I have been real thin before. You know, I'd put out an album like 8 years ago called Language. And, you know, for that campaign, I just was like, nothing else makes sense. I have to be thin. I have to be really, really small. And I got really small. And it doesn't look natural on me.
No, because like your stature and like, you know, your genetics.
Yeah. I don't feel like myself. I feel like there's always loose skin, and it doesn't feel like my body's naturally supposed to be that small. You know what I mean? So that's something I've learned over the years as well, where it's like, it's not just about being small, it's about being what works for you.
What feels like you.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's really interesting that, like you said, you released the album, you'd lost a bunch of weight. I guess at that point you like looked more like pop star, what people think a pop star should look like.
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I looked what I thought a pop star should look like, but I don't know if it was like this like home run or anything, or if all the looks were home runs. But I tried. I was just happy to be able to wear clothes that fit. You know what I mean? I think that I'm big and I'm tall. So it's not like I'm like, you know, a lot of my outfits that I wore on stage were custom, not out of me being like flossing or being bossy about it, because it was like, otherwise I'd be on stage naked, or I'd be on stage like just not wearing, like feeling the pop star fantasy that you want to be feeling.
Yeah.
So that was hard as well. Like, you know, even at my smallest, I'm still kind of big, you know what I mean? Like, because around that time, you know, I was releasing music, and I was also releasing music alongside like people like Troye Sivan and Ollie Alexander. And we all look very different from each other, you know?
Yeah.
So, and it's fine, but I think it was like a lot on my mentor, and a lot of just like me wanting to aspire to whatever this like thing was, but I didn't know quite what it was. It was just to feel special outside of just to, you know, just to look and feel special.
So when I think pop star, you know, I grew up with the Britneys and the Christinas and the Justins and the very like homogenous, right? There's one look. It's often white. It's thin. It's young. You know, all these images of what a pop star should be. So you grew up with that as well, right? Did that like paint your image of it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I literally, because that's the thing, I sing and I write and I produce, but, you know, the production thing has been where I've made most of my money. And I think that when you think of male producers, more time they can look however they want to look. And especially if you're a Black male producer, like, a lot of us are just like big Black guys, you know what I mean? Where it can be fat, it can be tall, it can be whatever, but that it's fine to do that. Like, I remember growing up and watching, you know, Timbaland, and like, who I love, and like, I'm such a, you know, like, he's G, but like, he'd be in music videos, and you know, he was a big guy, and he'd just be there being all goofy and being all funny and whatever, and putting his faces. And then when it was time to release his album, you know what I mean? When he started kind of with like all the promiscuous and and then he had The Way I Are, and like, he lost all this weight and became this muscle god. And you know, like, it's a thing. You associate, okay, the second that I'm gonna be on camera, the second that it's gonna be all about me, I gotta bulk up. I gotta like do that. And so I guess things like that let you see that. And like, I grew up watching like all types of before and after TV shows. Like, that is my shit, you know what I mean? Like, I love a before and after, just like transformation where you go from one place to another. So I'd always see like this constant image of transformation. So it's always like never really over.
Yeah.
It's never really just like, hey, let's just like sit and like exist, you know?
And I feel like as well with all those before and afters, the message is like, on the other side, everything is fixed. You have no worries, no troubles. You're the happiest person in the entire world. What about afterwards, behind the scenes, you know?
People are transient. And I think that was one thing I wish that I had growing up, in that it was the showing that things are transient, you know what I mean? As opposed to just like the fairy tale ending.
Right. You're always changing and growing and becoming new versions. For sure.
Because I'm happy to change and switch up, you know what I mean? I don't look the way that I looked 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I like changing. I like evolving.
And was there a point where you kind of accepted that you are going to change?
I don't know. I don't know if there was ever like a moment where I was like, fine, I'm at peace with it. I think I live my life every day and I'm just like, you know, listen, I'll be honest with you. Every day I'm still obsessing about how I fit into clothes and how I look naked and how I feel. And I guess what's different now is that, you know, as my body changes and as my body is transient, it's about what I do with it. That's important. I wish there was a confidence that I could have when I was bigger. You know what I mean? I really enjoy, you know, just being whatever size I was and knowing that it was just weight and that I can lose it and gain it and lose it and gain it and it's fine, as opposed to it being so instrumental to my self-worth sometimes.
Do you think that there's anything that you could have said to a younger version of you who maybe was bigger and didn't believe that he had that shine, that internal shine? Like, is there anything you could have said to help bring it out?
We'll never know. We'll never know. But I think that, like, I see my shine now, and I think that it's better late than never.
Damn right. And it's not late, babes. You got decades.
Oh, I've got loads of time, but, you know, it'd be great if it wasn't great from childhood, but, you know, it's like, whatever. You know, I can't.
You've done the work. You got it now.
Yeah.
Can we talk about dating?
Okay.
Okay.
If we must. Sure.
How do you think that dating has impacted your body image over the years?
I've never really felt desirable as a bigger Black person. And even if I have, I felt like it was always in like a weird fetishizing way, like where it was like, oh, this is like your little secret that you're into, or like, you know. Yeah, it's been weird. I remember there was one instance where I was like, I was kicking it with a smaller guy, person who was on the smaller side, and he was verbal. He was in the bedroom and he was saying things of the ilk of, yeah, you like that, big boy.
Oh.
And I too was like, ooh. I was like, oh, record scratch, jazz music stops, what's going on here? What are you talking about? And I sat down, I was like, do you want to talk about that? Like, what was that? And he was like, yeah, it just came out like spur of the moment. And it's like, was that on your spirit? Was that how you were really feeling? Hello? Like, I think when it comes to that, it's off-putting. Like, I don't want to feel that way. I just want to be liked for me. But then even to be honest, like there's been times where I've been like talked to by like maybe a more muscular guy or someone who's more in keeping with like the desirability politics of, you know, being gay, which is, okay, white, light, six-pack, you know, that anything else other than that is really out of the question. Yeah, like I've definitely felt when I've been talked to by guys like that, I feel weird.
Okay, say more.
It's like, boy, there's all them other bras there that you could be talking to. What's it about me? You know what I mean? Like you start your self-worth then comes into being like, you don't feel like you're enough. I mean, there's been a few times over the years where I felt like I wasn't good enough to be with certain people because of like the way that I looked. And sometimes those relationships, I'd go into them maybe hoping that they could cure my insecurities or hoping that, you know, they could say all the things that I need to be hearing to feel better as a person. But it's like, they couldn't. And they didn't want to. It was just like, it's not their job. Yeah. Like, I have to figure that out for myself, like really and truly, and like have that love for myself by myself.
Yeah, I hear that. I feel like that validation, that male validation in particular, I spent so long chasing that and thinking, well, like once I have this, I will feel so lovable and I will feel so enough. And then it's almost like you get in the spotlight of their attention and it kind of just amplifies everything you already don't like about yourself. Like it's not this, that's fixed, that's healed now.
I really resonate with that. And yeah, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Like I don't think I've had any of my relationships where I've been happy with myself. Looking back, when you asked a question about dating, the answer is not applicable. For real. Like it's I love affection and I love people, but I think that there's many other factors that put me off of it. But as far as just like body image, yeah, I think being bigger has had its pitfalls, and I do think that it's often harder for bigger Black guys.
Well, yeah, and I feel like within the gay male world especially, people can be brutal.
Yeah.
And like blunt. They'll literally just like list like, don't want this, don't want this, don't want that.
Oh yeah, don't play. I think it's something to be said about men, like, and it being a men and men only type thing. Like, I feel like sometimes when there's a woman to offset some of that like testosterone, like there can be room for manners and candor. But then when it's just men and then just like the dog mentality, like all in one place, all bars are off. Like it's just kind of, you're with the dogs. And so I've seen it where people have definitely put on their profile, look, either no fats and no femmes, or they say, I'm looking for a Black guy.
So it's like one extreme or the other.
And I don't want either. Like, I don't want either. That sounds like hell. Everyone needs to love themselves.
So when it comes to dating and who you're attracted to, would you say that you go for a specific type of body?
I think if you saw everyone I've dated over the years, you see that they're all really different. But I think like the gag is, right? The gag is my type is probably everything that I try to avoid about myself. You know what I mean?
Okay.
In that it's like, I like a bigger guy. You know, I like a guy who is, you know, who probably had a shape that I had before, but I'd look at myself and be like, ew. But I'd look at them and I'd be like, you're beautiful and you're stunning and you shouldn't change a thing.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I don't know, some type of me kind of like projecting in a weird reverse type of way. Because, you know, we love all body shape sizes, like whatever sets you free.
So what do you think it is that, why is it that you can appreciate something in someone else and then be so critical of it in yourself?
Well, I don't know. I think it probably comes down to like the self-worth thing. Like the self-worth thing, or just it being told to you that, okay, you being bigger is wrong, or you looking that way is wrong. Maybe I've processed it like that, but I wouldn't dare tell someone else, you know, damn, you're big. Like, that's because I wouldn't want to hear that.
I feel like when I healed my own body image more, first of all, like breaking away from patriarchal beauty standards of like, this is how women should be, this is how they should look, open my mind to the appreciation of all bodies, of all people, of all shapes and sizes. And then, you know, when I kind of started to explore my queerness, my mind was just so open and so like, wow, there really is beauty in everybody. And I have no type, and I'm like, that's gorgeous, and that's gorgeous. Oh, that. And I just can't believe how narrow I was in my thinking before. Like, woman has to be this.
Yeah.
Now, woman can be whatever the fuck she wants to be.
Woman can be whatever, men, them, like everybody. You can be whatever, and it is beautiful. And there's someone who will find it like the most beautiful thing in the world. To be fair, we grew up in a lot of monoculture. So there was like very much, okay, you are being fed this portion of media and what is supposed to be right and good, whereas now it's a free-for-all. Now there's so much that's right and wrong and whatever, but like it's for us to decide and for us to live by, you know. It's good. I mean, I agree with you. God, there are some fine men in this land, like for real. And there are many times where I'm like, damn, like that it's I'm happy that I can appreciate all body sizes and really genuinely not feel like, you know, I have one type, and if there's, you know, one thing, like it just doesn't, you know, I just don't operate that way, you know what I mean? Like I can appreciate all body sizes, and I don't fetishize either. I feel like that's weird. Because, hey, look, the other thing is this. I can imagine that there's probably someone who's seen maybe that I've lost a bit of weight and they don't find me as attractive as they did when I was bigger. Because there's been times where I've, you know, been attracted to a guy who was bigger, and then they've gone on a weight loss journey, which is absolutely for their betterment and for them to feel better in themselves and is beyond just like aesthetics. And they lose weight and they become like...
Right, yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, do that. That has nothing to do with me.
I don't know if this is the same for you as well, but I find that like I'm quite attracted to people who just break the mold, basically. And I think obviously within queerness, there's so much freedom to not be binary, to like properly explore all different things. And people are so hot when they just do their own thing, you know?
100%.
And don't follow like the rules and like, you should be this, you should be that. I love that.
I think that is a very attractive quality when there's someone who's just so one of a kind. I think one of a kind is really my main like non-negotiable. Like if I meet you and I don't forget you, you know what I mean? Like that is like, oh, okay, I need to see you again. Or I need to kick it with you again.
Oh, I love that as a standard. Shout out to my girlfriend. She's definitely that.
That's on period. Shout out to girlfriend. What's her name?
Shah.
Hi, Shah.
Cute. Okay. She's a beautiful person.
Ah, love that.
Through the inside onto the outside.
Gorgeous.
So she's been on a journey.
Honey.
You've been through it. You've changed, you've grown, you've learned things. How would you describe, I guess, how would you sum up that journey of where you've been to where you are now?
Turbulent. But then I think it's kind of like unfair. It's not as bad as it could have been. It could have been a lot more traumatic, but I also acknowledge that my weight has been the kind of a main topic of my life, like the entirety of my life. And I envy those that it just never really registered. But I also think that it's given me like a lot of empathy and compassion for a lot of people, even if I haven't always been able to afford it to myself. But I think that is something that is actively being worked on. I wouldn't wish kind of like fat kid trauma on anybody, for real, because it's not fun and you can't control it. So just like the world outside will show you things where it will say, being fat's not a great idea. So it's like not ideal, but I think it's just like now I have the love I really wanted to have for myself all them years ago.
Also, can I just say, like, on the fat kid trauma, it's also not your fault. Like, it's not the body you were born with, how you were raised, like the culture you come into that sends you all these messages. Yeah. That's not your fault. And like, you shouldn't have had to deal with all that. Like, you should have just been a kid, you know? Yeah.
I should have just been a kid, you know what I mean? But I was a fat kid. Like I was a fat kid. And I think that like there's a lot of fat queer kids even that don't have the tools to cope with certain things. And so they adhere to, you know, pop stars and food. And that's what I did. It was MTV and a bowl of cereal. So like that was for real my childhood, you know? Understanding that I'm a big kid, but not necessarily like knowing what it took to manage that or to truly comprehend it, you know what I mean? Like all I was told that it was bad and you just got to be on the treadmill in the morning before school and that way everything would be better. And it wasn't, you know what I mean? It didn't fix everything. It just leaves you with a few little pictures in your head.
Scars. Yeah. Yeah. But there will be fat queer kids watching this. And, you know, what do you want them to know?
I want them to feel enough. And I want them to really, I think you've got to tune out a lot of the world outside. And, you know, like I said, like you said, I don't know if I can take all the responsibility for my fat kid trauma, you know what I mean? I think that after a certain point, it's mine. But then I think for, you know, the fat queer kids who are out there who are absolutely like dealing with it and know that there's something that's like they're coping with, I think it's just knowing that they're not alone. Because I got alone. It wasn't like now where, you know, young queer kids do have a lot of tools to to feel like there's other people like them and see other people like them. Like it's all out there more than ever before. Like we were told this is how you be, this is how you be successful, this is how you be worthy, this is how you be like important. And they don't have that. And I think that they should definitely take stock of that and make the most out of that, that there's so many other options of showing happy lives in different sizes.
But also you represent that now.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I'd say I represent myself at the end of the day, because I think there was a time where I was very fixated on, I'm going to use this time to be a role model and a LGBT icon, you know what I mean? And I don't know if it's about actively pursuing that. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to navigate doing things the way I do. And I know that from a career point of view, I've done things that few people who look like me have done, you know what I mean? And I'm aware of that legacy and what I'm able to do with that, but I am conscious of the impact people who look like me have, like being out there, you know what I mean? Being queer, being bigger, being black, and, you know, being loud about it. It's not like a thing of me kind of like hiding away from these kind of conversations. Like, I was really looking forward to like being able to talk with you about this, because I don't think that is talked enough about in Black queer spaces, about, you know, body image, weight, food, how that links with mental health. You know what I mean? The mental health conversation is really, really quiet in the Black community. Things like this, it's about being responsible, but also just being real with like what you feel like you can really contribute to the conversation. You
are very real. You're real and authentic, and you contribute, I think, more than you realize. I think maybe in years to come, you'll look back and you'll be like, oh, wow, yeah, I was that. I was what I needed. Like, you are what you needed. That's beautiful.
Well, thank you. I do have that knowledge, you know what I mean? I do see that. Like, I know that I've been able to achieve that, and it's ongoing. Like, I'm not like done, and I also don't want to be the only one. Like, I love being able to see that there's a lot of us who are like of color and doing our thing and are talented and queer and valuable. And like, you know, I even do things like I have this writing camp called Proud Sound, which I, you know, do every year. I just love the environment it creates and the stories and the testimonials that come from it, and like the songs that are made in those camps. So I'm happy to get to do that. You know what I mean? I'm happy to get to have little things that I can actually see a difference being made with it.
Yeah. You're like laying the path for the next generation.
Trying, attempting.
So where are you at now with your relationship with your body, and where do you hope that goes to?
So I around like August, last year, I kind of just got really depressed, and I just felt the need to just have like a massive just like shift. And, you know, I started working out and I started eating better, and like I'm more about feeling stronger. I'm all about like, I want to have nice, big, juicy arms. Like, yeah, I'll do that. And I don't mind having a gut as well. But like, I think that it's more about feeling stronger, feeling like I can like really walk in my body and feel like this is the body I was supposed to walk in, as opposed to it being so much about being like smaller, which it has been in the past. And so, yeah, now I'm happy with like where I'm at body-wise. And admittedly, yeah, there's a lot of looking at myself and a lot of like kind of like some dysmorphic attitudes like that. I don't think it's responsible to act like that's not a thing. But ultimately, I do enjoy my body better, and I do enjoy my life better, knowing that like I'm taking care of myself. That's the thing. It's like I could be any size, but if I wasn't taking care of myself, then I would have been unhappy. Yeah. Anyway, so this is all just a case of being more conscious.
That makes sense. And also I think for me personally, like the goal is just give less of a fuck. Like, it's freedom, you know? It's not like obsessing about how you look. It's not obsessing about what you eat or the way you move. Like, it's just being able to live your life, and whatever your body is whatever your body is.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not the most important thing about you. So in this place that you're in now, where you are feeling better, and you said being like kinder to yourself, what does that look like? Like, how are you speaking to yourself, to your body?
I think that being kinder to myself is centering myself a bit more, because my job as a writer and a producer is to be in service of others. And I know that only promotes self-neglect. It can only help with self-neglect. If you're already a self-neglecting person, it just adds to it. So I need to have those little points where I say, I don't think I'm doing that session because either I don't feel comfortable doing it, or it's just not where I'm at right now. I want to do my own album stuff and, like, you know, really center about the things that I want to say. You know, there's like music that I'm making for my own album that has nothing to do with anything that I've done with anyone, you know? So there's stories I have that only I could tell. So saying no to certain things in favor of things like me, you know, the stuff that I have to say, even if it doesn't sell as much as the stuff I'm producing for other people, you know, those type of boundaries to let myself know that, like, I'm enough. Like, I'm worth the time. I'm worth it.
Yes.
Like, I'm worth cancelling something for.
Oh, and that's self-esteem. Like, that's true self-esteem beyond the body. That's like the whole self. I saw something you wrote, I think it was one of your captions that you wrote. It was like, it was about your first album. And you were basically saying, look, I love this. I'm proud of this. Even if this person said that or the other, I'm really proud of this.
Things were said. Things were said. Rolling Stone gave it 2 stars.
And what do they know anyway? But that's that self-esteem, right? That you want to build to be unshakable. So it doesn't matter how your body looks or what someone says about something you make. Like, you know your worth.
Yeah. I want that, and I'm working towards it, because I think, like, I guess why I don't feel comfortable ever being like, yeah, I have it figured out. It's like, it's not, because it isn't. You know what I mean? I'm in the middle of it, and I'm on the right track of it. But it's a process, and it's transient, just like our bodies. But I'm happy to be in this space and to talk with you about it.
Uzo Emenike.
Aww.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad I got to talk with you.
Listen, you've talked like so vulnerably, so beautifully. And I just know so many people watching this are going to relate and feel comforted and feel not alone. And that's gorgeous. So thank you.
And thank you for providing the space for everyone. Truly. We did this together, Diva.
Together.
Together.